So I have a new document. It is a particular size that is a proportion which matches your average American magazine. How do I know what that proportion is? I Googled it and looked for an answer, and so should you. I'm going to go ahead and grab this image. You can use whatever image you would like. I'm going to drop it in there. It's a little big. So I'm going to Command T, free transform it, scale it down. There we go. Now I'm going to put a magazine title-y thing up here at the top. One of the reasons I liked this image was that it had that extra space up there. There's other images in there that are also totally fine. And of course, you can use your own image. So grab my type tool over there, little letter T. I am using a font called HWT American. And I got that font by coming up here and going to add fonts from Typekit. So this is where I would get that font, right? Because I don't have a bunch of fonts. Do you have a bunch of fonts? I don't know. You know, who has fonts? Lots of people? Nobody? Maybe? I don't know. So I went here, I looked for some fonts, slab serif, right? Those are sort of bigger and chunkier. You probably don't want some little tiny finicky font. Once I had found something I liked, right? Ooh, that's good. Go look at it. And then if I wanted to, I could activate the font, and that would bring it up in Adobe. So here we are. I've got my font. I've got a color for it because I liked it. I'm going to draw a box from one side to the other. I'm going to make sure it is centered. And I'm going to give my magazine a name. Now, a couple of things, right? I have a font that I like. I have a color that I like. That actually took a while to choose. There are also some adjustments that are made over here to the character palette. The spacing is kind of low. The height is stretched up. Both of those are just being inherited from the last time I typed some stuff. So I might want to go in and alter that a little bit. But right now I think that seems fine. I'm going to put a little bit of an outer glow on this, right? Right now I feel like it doesn't have quite the presence that it could. If we went and looked at the People magazine examples that we had on the website, right, they've got a little outline around it, something to sort of set it off. And let's go back to Photoshop. I'm going to go harass this cat. All right, Campus Magazine it is. All right, I'll put an outer glow, come down here to FX, and here, let me pull this up a little bit so you can see it very easily. Oh my god, this cat, I'm gonna fucking kill it. We'll video edit that shit out. All right, so I'm gonna come down here to FX, and I would like to have an outer glow, normal, softer, white, opacity. All these things seem fine. Play around with them, see what you like. That's cool. One of the things that I need to do in this is have his hair look like it's coming in on top of that. So normally I would just go ahead and mask it off, but I can't do that right now because I have the effects applied. So if I went in, right, made my mask, grabbed my brush, right, that outer glow is still happening at the edge of the mask because it's applying it to the whole layer. So I don't want that. To do that, I'm going to need to do something a little tricky. Again, if you're not applying a mask, if you're not applying an effect to that big title text, you don't need to worry about this. But if you are, it's a nice thing to do. Come up here, I'm going to make a new group, right, by hitting that folder. I'm going to throw my Campus Magazine title text inside of that group. I don't actually need a layer mask for it. And then I'm going to put my group name, magazine title. I'm going to go ahead and put my mask on that. So now my mask is on the group. That group does not have an effect on it. The effect is on the thing inside. So now when I go in, I can mask it off without having to worry about it. Again, right, this is fairly quick and dirty. You can just switch back and forth using the X key between the two, sort of hiding and showing the mask. Change your size. All right, kind of looks like a narwhal. What you gonna do? Cool. So now we have our magazine name, we have our masking on the title, right? Both of which are requirements of the thing. Now I need to go ahead and put some text in here. I'm going to go down and grab my type tool again. I want to have a different font, right? The font that we have for our title is more decorative looking. The font that I would want for my names of things down here is a little bit less decorative. I'm going to change my color as well. All right, so let's go down here and choose, oops, sorry, got my type tool. Choose another font. Again, I have actually spent some time looking for a font before now, and make it left aligned, and change my spacing back to auto. Right, we've got some text. Again, this text also feels a little bit like it's blending in with what's around it. I'm going to go and add outer glow on that. I'm going to have that outer glow be black. And I'm going to make it smaller and a little bit less opaque. I just want it to pop a little bit off of whatever is behind it. So there's some text. I'm going to go add some more text with the magic of Julia Childing stuff. Okay, so I've got some more text in here. I would like to have a similar effect on that. Outer glow. I can drop the opacity down a little bit more. Cool. And then underneath that, I have some other text in a different color. I would like to have that offset a little bit by a shape, which also is part of the requirements. So I'm going to come over here and grab the rectangle tool, get another color. And I'm just going to draw that color in there. Draw it in. I had rotated that type before, also using Command T, free transform. I could have been a little smarter and selected both the type layer and the rectangle layer if I had made the rectangle later, but I didn't. So I rotated that and said, okay, it says this operation will turn a live shape into a regular path. Sure. That's because right now I am drawing a shape layer. I don't need that. I can just draw a regular set of pixels. That would be totally fine. I'm going to draw my next rectangle as pixels. So make a new layer, draw it in here. That's not the color I want. Let's make it a different color. Again, rotate it. Since I'm using free transform, I can also scale it a little bit. Now I can take that rectangle layer, I can give it a drop shadow, right, if I'm feeling fancy. You don't need to do any of that. Okay, so I've got some effects. I've got some solid color behind some of my text. So the other thing we needed to have, if I go ahead and look at my assignment description, I need to have one solid color shape with a picture inside of it. I'm going to do this as a shape layer. It says see examples, so if you look at the People magazine, right, there's a bunch of instances of that. So if we go over here and grab the ellipse tool, right now it has this fill. I'm going to give it a stroke. All right, I want it to have some sort of color to the edge. Bigger, what does that look like? That seems okay. Let's make it. Yeah, a little bit bigger overall. Okay. So I've got a shape of some sort. Now I'm going to go over to one of my other images. Copy, select all, copy, come back here, paste. Look at that's just so big. Free transform, Command T, bring it down. Wow. Okay, so my goal is to have this picture inside of that circle. So I'm just going to shrink it down about the right size. Come over here and rename it librarian face. Get rid of some old layers we don't need. All right, and I'm going to take the librarian face layer, hold down the Option key, and use circle as a clipping mask. So you'll notice that the stroke on that stays visible, and the background is only visible if I move the librarian off of that circle. This means if I had cut out the background around her, then I could get like cool color circle behind her or whatever. If you think I'm cutting out anything around that hair, you're wrong. So that's good. We'll free transform, rotate her a little bit. I could also scale if I wanted, but that looks pretty reasonable. I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of text. I could add some effects to that font. Cool. Let's say in black. Yeah, and that seems pretty reasonable. Shrink this down a little bit. Yeah, so if I look at my assignment description, masking, so that part of the person is covering the logo, article headers, coordinating colors from the main image, right? I'm sort of matching a little bit some of the reddish colors, some of the bluish colors, right? Not exactly the same, but coordinating. Coordinate the colors of the fonts, done. At least 2 pieces of text should have noticeable effects applied. At least 1 piece of text should have a solid shape. Oh, I say solid color shape, not a pixel layer. You know, that doesn't matter. Make it either way. Behind it in a box or oval or starburst or whatever. Remember, those are other options that we have here. And you need to have at least one solid color shape with a picture inside of it, which is what we've got there. So we are good. I can go through, make sure that my layers, which right now the naming is terrible, the order is not that great, make sure that those are correct, save it, check those specs, and we are good.